Hey there, welcome to episode 20 of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. I'm your host, Dan Hugo, Managing Director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation and consummate host of the Let's Innovate for Vegas podcast. Today is July 7, 2023. It's Friday. Hoot. It's First Friday, in fact. It's a day on a calendar, not an event. So it's First Friday where you are too. If you happen to be listening to this on the day I post it, or any other First Friday hereafter. It's episode 20 already. Kind of hard to believe. I think I've hit one per week. And as you may recall, or you probably don't, started counting at 0, as everyone should. So this is technically the 21st episode. Episode 0 is always a sort of a transient startup, which is what we're good at here in Vegas, or something like that. Today's episode is participation, reach versus grasp. What on earth does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you. So civic volunteerism, it's not for everyone, most definitely not for everyone. That has become abundantly clear. Ideally, if you would like to engage in civic volunteerism, you would like to do something, you would like to spend your time, give your energy. It's not necessarily about money, although time is money, so I guess it is. But it's about contributing, giving back, elevating the place you live, the place where you the people in either or both, making your communities better. That's part of our purpose, Innovate for Vegas Foundation. So as we filed our documents just over a year ago, that's our purpose statement: to elevate, to enable and encourage the ideation, innovation, and implementation to make our communities better. It doesn't say anything about code or tech, just generally doing stuff to make our communities better. So that's what we have been calling civic volunteerism, or we've been calling that civic volunteerism, however you want to look at it. And ideally, you want to do these things, not for money, not for fame and fortune, although those may result. As I often tell people, I don't want you to work for free, but I do want you to be willing to work for free. That says something about you. Your motivation is sometimes the reason things succeed, because you had the wherewithal or the desire to reach an endpoint, a deployment of a project, or the improvement of a park, the cleaning of litter on your street. It could be anything. But if you do it because you will be rewarded externally, well, then you may stop if that reward doesn't satisfy you, or if it doesn't happen at all. Maybe you just have an internal sort of an internal glow that drives you to do things just to make things better around you. So civic volunteerism, that's one way of looking at it. I'm sure you have a definition of your own, but it's a way for you to participate in your community. Community is a word often overused, but I think in this case it's appropriate. Your community could be physically, geographically near you, or it could be people in your city. It could be people that share common interests. It could be people in your workplace. It could be any number of specific groups, geographically near, virtually far, and you will almost certainly see a return on the investment of your time and energies and interests, although it might take a while. And that can be a challenge here in the greater Vegas culture of not exactly altruistic efforts and energy. So for the longest time, we've been talking about local innovation by local innovators. Part of our goal was to enable people with nascent interest initially in coding. Code for Vegas was our original sort of rebooted name from the original Code for Vegas part of Code for America from earlier in the 2000 teens. So when we started hearing, I'm not a coder, therefore, let's just stop that right now. So Innovate for Vegas is about doing these things, civic volunteers participating in their communities, ideation, innovation, implementation, as I've said. It's basically what happens at hackathons, but it's generally a nice way of approaching the potential applied interest in civic volunteerism with the collaborative multiplication of effort to ideally result in some sort of community improvements, plural. So how can we enable and encourage, in fact, our local innovators, people that want to innovate, the people that want to actually do things and do them creatively? Anybody can, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Just follow the instructions and loop through and do your thing. And that's probably automatable. Someday we'll have litter collecting robots wandering the streets. Hey, that's a startup idea right there. Or someday we'll have drones delivering pizzas, or who knows. But the things that are boring and repetitive can be automated away. Things that require innovation will still, for the near term, benefit substantially from actual humans taking the time and putting in the effort. And it doesn't have to be code. Like I said, it could be creative work, it could be visualizations, could be media, could be language translations, could be just about anything. So the idea has always been, since we refounded Code for Vegas and then Innovate for Vegas, has been to enable and encourage the local innovators to participate in local innovation. And when you see problems or gaps, they don't have to be like visually problematic, but it could just be like, we could do that better. We could do that in a more efficient way. We could make that more accessible for more people. It's so, et cetera, so on and so on. So can we take that desire and energy and focus it, multiply it by collaborating and sort of organizing the energies into some measurable progress and eventual outcomes that we can apply to these gaps or problems or places where there's room for improvement in general, right? That's a gap, but not everybody uses that term, so we can make things better. Can we? Maybe. Can we lead these potential innovators to the projects? Yes, of course. I can point to them all day. And as always, we are happy to talk about new projects. Not everything in our current GitHub organization is complete, ready to launch. They're not all shovel ready, as people say sometimes of public works projects, but they are all based on real needs. They're all based on actual, future, Smart City Forward plans from a 2018 document put together by City of Las Vegas. And by the way, we have an inordinate focus on the City of Las Vegas. The City of Las Vegas actually does not care what we're doing. So it's the people of Las Vegas, not the city of. And the people of Las Vegas extend well beyond the administrative boundaries of the City of Las Vegas anyway. So for the most part, when I say, when we innovate for Vegas, it's not city of, it is people of, and it is a geographical area far larger in many ways than the City of Las Vegas proper. So all that said, can we make people contribute to these various projects with their time and creativity? And the short answer is no. That has become very clear over the last about 18 months since we first started booting up the new org, and most definitely since our monthly hackathon meetups have demonstrated this. So we have monthly hackathon meetups. We have ongoing legitimate projects, each of which could be spun off into actual companies of some sort, or they could be value for value monetized, for example. One of our goals is to enable that sort of return on investment for individual contributors. Like I said, we don't want people to work for free, but we do want them to be willing to work for free. The exciting world of open source development has made this a completely viable business model. So nothing new here, not even innovating on that. We're doing everything in a fairly straightforward and generally acceptable and accepted and usable manner. The innovation comes from the people participating and tackling actual problems, filling actual gaps, and doing so in a collaborative way, and possibly even developing new projects and identifying new gaps or existing gaps, I suppose, and how we tackle those. So by fostering a innovation culture and platform and a way to focus these energies and to identify and develop solutions to problems, I'm using just those simple terms. It may not be a problem, but work with me here. So if we have that momentum, we can actually innovate locally and make real change. And by change, it could be improving things that already work well enough, or it could be, improving things that don't work or don't work well enough. These things are possible. However, it requires participation. And that is where we have come up drastically short. So we're going to have a podcast about this with all of our board, which is a very lean 3 people. Myself, of course, I'm the loudest of the bunch. Sean Looker was the co-founder and co-captain of the original Code for Vegas back in the day. He was an Amazon employee who became a Zappos employee when Amazon acquired Zappos. He was thus a long-time employee of Zappos. He points this out in a podcast we did many weeks ago. I think it was like episode 7, maybe, give or take. And we also have just added for the beginning of this new fiscal year, for June 30th, when I filed our annual list update, we have added the one and only Mary Norris. If you don't know Mary, you will. Anyone who's ever worked with Code for America or who has wandered into the exciting world of civic volunteerism, certainly at the local brigade level, or if you've, well, Mary's been involved in a lot of things, and a lot of people around the country know Mary. Mary knows a lot of people around the country. When we were first talking about reforming Code for Vegas, we contacted Code for America. They put it very simply, do you know Mary Norris? Have you talked to Mary Norris? You should talk to Mary Norris. So when Mary agreed to join our board of directors to help facilitate what I'm about to describe, it's an exciting time and a huge potential for turning our nascent projects into projects with some sort of deployment possibility. So earlier in 2023, the Code for America organization decided to eliminate support for brigades. Luckily, we ended up not being a Code for America brigade when we reformed our organization. So we were and are a standalone public charity. Not everybody was so fortunate. And so when Code for America decided to pull the rug, several people around the country who are actually legitimate, practicing civic volunteers, doing great things, contributing to open source projects to their communities, etc. These people were left in a lurch. Hey, the organization for which I have been volunteering as part of this larger effort is no longer. And so these are people who have the desire and motivation and experience, but who are left, I won't say homeless, that's the wrong message here, but they are left without a platform on which to do what they were doing, right? The rug was pulled, almost literally. So the value proposition for these people is maybe you would like to innovate for Vegas, where Vegas is not only a region on a map, it is a destination. By the way, people flying into the Las Vegas airport are still not flying into the city of Las Vegas. So Vegas itself extends well beyond the boundaries of the city of, and I would argue that it extends well beyond the boundaries of Nevada. The virtual economy that we've talked about in other episodes. Notwithstanding, there is the potential to innovate for Vegas from anywhere on the planet for one simple reason. 40 million people visit Las Vegas. That's the current stat from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority website. I think it's probably a run rate and it's probably statistical, so there's probably some error in that, but essentially, 40 million people from parts far and wide. Parts far and wide? No. Parts unknown? From places, origins far and wide? Anyway, there's a lot of people. They come to Vegas from all over. They stay for a few days or a week, a month. Sometimes they move here. And these are people who come from all walks of life. They come from a variety of, and sometimes they go back to a variety of places and cultures, and each place has its own unique needs. But in some cases, what we can learn here, we can apply there. But the interesting thing is when people come here, we can show them projects that we're working on. Las Vegas fancies itself a smart city. Well, they have a ways to go. They could be a smarter smart city. And so if and when people from far and wide participate in the projects we have now, or maybe they'd like to bring their own project. Maybe they already have projects. They don't necessarily have to be Let's Innovate for Vegas projects that we talk about here. They don't have to be in our GitHub org. They don't have to necessarily be projects that we control or have oversight over. Is that even right? Have sight over? Oversight? They, and I'm speaking in sort of broad terms here, they may have a GitHub organization from their rug pulled brigade. They may have projects they're working on already, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, etc. So there are people out there. Is it Bitbucket or BitKeeper? I can't remember. Anyway, I digress. So there are people out there who have projects in mind, that things that they're working on. Why not, in quotes, I suppose, innovate for Vegas? Let us develop access to a huge volume of people who can see your ideas, try your ideas out. They don't have to be code, by the way. They can be anything. We have no shortage of gap when it comes to human experience, when it comes to meeting expectations of people who come here from other places. Let's not even get started on language localization and accessibility. By way of example, I am essentially exclusive consumer, as in I do not own a car, exclusive consumer of public transit. We leave people wanting here. And it's unfortunate and frustrating often. But if you do not speak English or Spanish and you are hoping to figure out how to get around the oasis in the desert here, well, good luck to you. So and that's a problem that's been solved, by the way. So if we can apply things, completely localized, internationalized and localized and accessible tools that can be used on a computer or on a phone if they are visually appealing, but also work without any vision. And same goes for audio and so on. So if we can build these platforms and then have people try them out from all over, well beyond the boundaries of my city or yours, who doesn't win? And everything's open source and everything, the basis of additional projects and shared across boundaries and make the world a better place. And unlike Code for America, and this is an actual conversation I had with them, when I asked who the volunteers were that enabled the project that they had posted a press release to announce. The paid employees, project management, and whatever else, program management, whoever, working for Code for America, their names were prominent. When I asked for this, who volunteered, who worked on this, the volunteers, I was told that list could be developed over time. It was complicated because they didn't really keep track. This is reprehensible. I absolutely don't. And this is one of the reasons I'm glad we never actually got entangled with them. So every aspect of participation, transparent, complete attribution. If projects that we are able to show people and try, I will say try on people. I hope that doesn't sound too weird. But if people can actually see what's possible on the ground, there's absolutely no reason they should think, oh, this is a Innovate for Vegas effort. It's powered by, perhaps in some cases, but the effort is actual people contributing their time and expertise, their creative works to the greater good. And so we are there for that. And we're there for you if you are doing that. So think of just like our upcoming Space Apps Challenge, the International Space Apps Challenge, that is a NASA global endeavor. We here in Vegas are facilitating a local event for the hackathon coming up 7 and 8 October. So it arguably is powered by some time spent. However, the contributors to that event are contributing on their own. They are individual contributor or team, teams of one or more. We will take no credit for their efforts. They win for participating. And maybe they'll win for real as well. Who knows? The take home though, Innovate for Vegas Foundation as a platform on which to innovate for the vast bolus of visitors. Bolus I'm using as a term to indicate a vast pile of data. Bolus of text for training models. That's very trendy now. But if we can engage with 40 million people every year, or even some fraction of that, ideally in person, that is, enable people who come here not to just discover by searching in their favorite search engine or being told by a counterfeit human, ChatGPT or whatever large language model is de rigueur at the time, rather than discovering these things at random, actually hear from people in the hotel or the resort where they're staying, or from people at different events. Hey, do you know about this? Do you know about that? Maybe we'll even get, certainly not the city of Las Vegas. They do not support what we're doing at all. They're politically incapable, I suppose. But people who work at these places who want to be a part of the global experience that Vegas offers to people by extending beyond the norm, by being innovative themselves, by supporting innovation, whether it's local or vlocal. If you haven't listened to that episode, I will point you to that. You'll figure out where it is. You found this episode, you'll find the vlocal episode, which is, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's the big plan. When I have Sean and Mary on, we will discuss it. We'll maybe have what will effectively be an open board meeting. We'll talk about best practices moving forward to enable engagement, participation in projects, and exposure of these projects to the world so that people spending time will see a return on their investment and everybody wins. Crazy, I know. Thanks for listening. As always, don't forget, you can like and subscribe. Even though this is not a YouTube video, you can like on your favorite platform, perhaps if you are listening on Spotify or Google or whatever. There's also another episode of another podcast. There's another episode that I've done this week, and I do every week as well, on the Cafe Genius Impresario audio program. That one is focused more on the economy of the Greater Vegas entrepreneurial ecosystem. So innovative entrepreneurialism and analyzing and elevating economies and entrepreneurs and so on. So that's another thing I'm working on. There's more. I'll get to that another time. But I do thank you for listening. Be sure and tell all of your friends, especially, most definitely, if you yourself are a civic volunteer, if you were bitten in the behind by the Code for America rug pull, or if you meant to be a volunteer and never got a chance to before the rug pull, or if you know someone who's in any of those categories, want to check it out, just remember, if you want to collaborate, think of it as a collaboration. If you want to collaborate with the Innovators for Vegas Foundation, we have projects. You can be a direct contributor. You can join our organization and contribute to projects directly, or we can collaborate on projects in a collaborative way. Hey, that's how that word works. So your project may stay in place. You control it. You own it. But maybe you'd like to deploy it in Las Vegas, all these tourists to check out. Maybe we can integrate with something we're working on, something you're working on, maybe something someone else is working on, and have people on the ground try it out, test it out, maybe bring it home with them, have their friends check it out, and so on. So we're looking at a world of possibility, not at a world of ownership and control, but of possibility and collaboration. And on that note, my voice and our Vegas annual pollen and allergen explosion are getting the best of me. I'm stressed. My voice is audibly to me stressed, and so I will wrap it up. But yeah, thank you again for listening, and thank you for making it all the way to the 25-minute mark. Very exciting. Thanks. Talk to you later. See you next week, or I'll talk at you next week, and hopefully you're listening. Catch you later.